YouTube, welcome to a new video. I'm Philip Jacob and you're watching Metal Beings. On today's video, we have the Maruti Suzuki 800. Yes, the SS800. To start off with the car, a little bit of the history I can say. So this car is what put India on wheels is what they say. The thing is that yes, there were other brands, there were the Fords, there were some German cars, everything in India, but this is what put the car factory or the complete car thing to India. So this started back when Sanjay Gandhi wanted to plan of having an own car as manufacturing in India itself, like how Beetle was for Germany, right? So he tried many things, but then it didn't work out and sadly he passed away. But then Indira Gandhi came up and she tried to reach out with many other brands and many took it as a joke. And then finally, Suzuki came back and said, yes, they would be interested in doing this project. And that is how this car, the SS80, came to life in India. So this car started its life in Japan, which was called as a Fronte. The car was called as Fronte. And when it came to India, it was called as the Maruti Suzuki 800, which we all know. But the actual name was also called as the SS8. So let's go in detail about this car's review. So once this car came on sale to the Indian market, there was a high demand for this car, and this car was meant to be for the common man, right? So what they did a common man's thing, which was a lottery system. So they put a lottery system, and through that lottery, whoever won it was the one who was getting the deliveries of the vehicle. And the first vehicle is still there with Maruti Suzuki. I will show you a shot of that also. And then this is also one of the originals. As you can see, it has a CNV registration also on it. It's absolutely wonderful. There is a deluxe variant also, but this is not the deluxe variant. So I will also tell you the differences when we go along with the review of this car. So while checking out on the front portion, as you can see the designs, you have these kind of domes on them, which looks pretty good for this car. And also it was no nonsense. You can just press this and open the hood. It was not like you need to figure around and find where the hook is to open the bonnet. And while checking out the grills, it's a very simple finish. You have the Suzuki 800 badging over here. If it was the deluxe version, it also had this Maruti written over here. That is one major difference when you see it from the outside. And you have this very simple headlamps over here with the indicators also on the front. And what we don't get nowadays today, a metal bumper. So while checking out on the engine is a 3-cylinder petrol engine which is of 796 cc. It is actually told as a 800 cc, but it is actually 796 cc. It produces around 37 bhp. It is not slow, it is good to drive. Even though it is just 3-cylinder, it is coupled to a 4-speed manual gearbox, and the gearbox is wonderful to drive. Like, it slots in each and every time really well. If you want a peppy drive, yes, you can drive it well also in this, because as you can see, the car itself is so tiny, it's very light, and this engine can do it all for this car. So while checking out on the side profile, as you can see, you have the signature indicator lamps on the front right hand side corners of the car, and this has an accessory of the alloys over here. Usually it comes with the steel rims. And one main thing at that time of era was that this came with disc brakes in the front. That was a major difference which none of the other cars had. Most of them just had drum brakes, but this one had the disc brakes inside them. And on the exterior, you find a lot of chrome elements, which gives a good look for the car. The A, B pillars are really small so that the visibility from inside is actually wonderful. And while considering the C-pillar, you have this kind of designing element given over here. It actually does give a separation to the bodywork, to the top portion of the car. And the handles, if you see, this handle has been traveling even till date for the present new. Even if you see on the current Altos and things like that, this is the same design which still comes on most of these cars. And this just set the example for all the cars which are still on the road. So this is my most favorite thing about this car. Yes, the glass only opens, it's not just the whole rear boot. It's only the glass which opens, and it also looks very stylish, right? And at the same time, you have a very practical boot space. Yes, you might think it's a very tiny car, you might not have so much of space, but yes, it has a really large boot space. If you want to carry more stuff, you can, even though you can just fold down these seats and make it even more spacious inside. And while considering the rear portion of the car, as you can see, you have this Maruti Suzuki badging over here, and the rest are missing actually. On the original car, there is the 800 badging which comes on the left hand side portion, and if it was a Deluxe, it used to come with DX written on it. But sadly it's missing. I don't blame it, because right now these have become collectibles and many people are stealing these things, so we can't help anything about that. So yes, and also you used to have a metal strip. Right now it's a sticker over here with a chrome finish. It usually comes with a metal strip over there, which again is the originality of this car. And finally, while checking out on the rear tail lamps, you have a very simple tail lamp over here, which has the indicators, the brake lights, and also the reverse lights inside them. And finally, just as what we saw in the front, these also have the metal bumpers on them. So right now we are seated inside the Maruti Suzuki 800, the SS80, and as you can see, the quality inside is absolutely amazing. The reason is that most of the parts came directly from Japan itself, and it was manufactured here in India. So it's all made in India. Yes, there are many people telling that no, this car was imported from Japan. It's nothing like that. This car was built in India itself. So while checking out on the interiors, first thing you notice is that this steering wheel is an accessory again. The standard steering wheel had a thin radius around it and also was of a bigger diameter, but this is of a much more smaller stance. And then while checking out on the seating position, I am 6 foot and this is really comfortable for me to be seated inside. As you can see, I have a lot of headroom, I have a lot of wiggle room, so it's actually quite practical to be seated inside too. And while checking out on the panels, as you can see, the door panels, these are the genuine door panels which came along with the car. Yes, they are all tiny. You need to be really careful while using them. You have the lock switch over here, the door unlock, and the window, the one which puts the window up and down. And also you have the handle to open and close the doors. So while checking out on the dashboard, first thing you notice, it still looks brand spanking new, right? That's because of this Japan quality. This Japanese parts are still so good. The new cars don't even live up to so much of time, right? And this car is almost 30 years plus. And if you see on the practicality part, you have a space over here where you can keep stuff. You also have a space over here. You have a glove box which is still functioning really well on space factors. And you have a blower system over here. The Deluxe version came up with the air conditioning system, but this one came only with the blower, so that is one thing. And the Deluxe also came with a clock over here. The clock is missing over here, so the Deluxe versions came up with a clock on the dashboard out over there. And while considering the music system, yes, this is also an accessory. The stock vehicles came with a AM radio station over there, which was quite tiny also at that point of time. And you have a cigarette lighter, and you also have an ashtray over here, which is pretty cool for a car which is so old, right? And the best part is this gearbox. Yes, as I mentioned, even the rear windows were a favorite of mine, and also this gear knob. It is a 4-speed, but this gear knob just goes and falls into the gear so easily. Yes, it has a lot of play into it, but it's just so graceful to be doing that over here, right? So it's a wonderful gearbox what we have over here, the 4-speed. You also have a handbrake over here, and for the seat belts, you have, this is the seat belt. Yes, it doesn't go retract by itself, but this is what you get. Back in the days, this was the most practical one for them. The seats, these are redone. The stock seats used to have a two-tone element. The Deluxe used to come with leather seats too. But I hope that is that inside these seats over here, this is with the tan brown, which actually suits the exterior color of this car. So right now we're seated at the rear of the Maruti Suzuki 800, the SS80, and as you can see, yes, I can fit in over here. My legs can go all the way underneath the front seats also, so yes, it is quite practical to be seated at the rear. Headroom, yes, it's absolutely okay for me to sit over here. You also have the handles over here so that it's again comfortable. Yes, I don't have an armrest or anything on either sides, but that is completely okay for the budget what this car came up in the beginning. I wouldn't complain at all. And also for the speakers, you also have the speakers on the C pillars out over here. So that is also one thing which was kept there so that the space was not getting disturbed for the boot space. So that is about So let's go for the drive review, which is a favorite part of the video for me, right? So opening the choke, starting the car. Okay, she has come to life. I've put down the choke. So, okay, there's a car in front. Let me take it to the back. Yes, it doesn't have power steering, as you can see. But then, yeah, once it gets going, it's really easy to drive the car. The driving position is absolutely amazing. You get a lot of memories once you start driving this car. Like for me, I learned driving myself on an 800. It was my friend's car, and that 800 was which taught me driving, right? So this again, my god, the drive feel, I can just go back to my days where I was trying to learn how to drive, right? Yes, this is a 800cc engine, but I don't feel it too lagging or something like that on these roads. It's really fun to drive actually. And the glass house inside, there is full of glass inside. Like you can see everywhere, and you need not even use these mirrors is what I can say. Just your peripheral vision will do everything for this car. Man, this brings so many memories for me to drive this car. So yes, the 4-speed gearbox, as you can see, it just falls in really well. The indicators are in the same place where you still have in the new cars, right? So it is still in the same place. While talking about the suspension, the front two are independent suspensions, and for the rear you have the leaf springs. This style was being done for a very long time on these Maruti 800s, but yes, I think it was more than enough. The ground clearance was too good, and the suspension also, even till date, it just feels really great. And even if you want to have fun with this car, yes, once you push on the throttle, it still wants to have, it just has that peppiness inside. Yes, all these years it would have surely lost some horsepower, but yes, and my god, this car is really a head turner. Like right now we are in a very busy spot of Bangalore where supercars come, but I had a experience right now when I was just driving where there were some kids in a Porsche convertible and they were taking a shot of this car. So that shows how good this car is. I don't know if you can see the people's reaction over here. So many people are looking at this car. That's really amazing. So yes, it's not just supercars which take your attention. Supercar owners also get attention when you drive one of these. That is how fun this car is. It's become a legendary car right now, you know. Like a couple of years back, maybe 20 years back, many of them were using this for learner's license. For driving class, they were using this. And that is how many of them got passed away, right? They just went off. They were all screwed up. And only few like this remain on the roads. And I'm really glad the owner of this car, his name is Mr. Sagar, by the way. I will tag him, just follow him also. He has some wonderful collections and he just tastefully does his car really well. He's not here with me right now. but yes, he just trusted me and gave me his car on the whole. So that's it guys on the drive review. I think this video was really helpful or interactive for you. Please do like, share and subscribe to the channel to see some more fun videos like this and more unique cars. I'll see you guys later in another video with another car.